From nude river swimming, to deadly duels, to vomit on foreign leaders. These are the weirdest, wildest, and most unbelievable facts about U.S. presidents. And trust me, some of these are so insane you'll wonder how these men ever got elected. Let's start at the top. George Washington, hero, legend, and owner of the most nightmare-fueled dentures ever created. Forget wood. His teeth were stitched together from human teeth. Horse teeth, cow teeth, hippo ivory, and metal springs. They creaked so loudly he barely smiled. Then comes John Adams, the man who literally named one of his dogs Satan. No one knows why. Historians think he just had a dark sense of humor. Imagine visiting the White House and getting barked at by Satan. And Thomas Jefferson? His life was complicated. He wrote all men are created equal, yet kept Sally Hemings enslaved and fathered multiple children with her. Decades later, DNA finally proved what history whispered. James Madison, tiny guy, giant impact. At just 5'4" and barely 100 pounds, he looked like a school teacher. Yet helped design the Constitution. James Monroe, the only U.S. president with a foreign capital named after him, Monrovia in Liberia. And then John Quincy Adams, the man who started every morning completely naked in the Potomac River. One day, a reporter literally sat on his clothes and refused to give them back until he answered her questions. He is the only president interviewed while fully nude. Peak transparency. Andrew Jackson survived more duels than most video game characters. Over 100 challenges. And in one duel, he took a bullet to the chest and kept firing. Then Martin Van Buren accidentally gave the world the word okay. His nickname, Old Kinderhook, inspired the chant, "Vote for OK." William Henry Harrison, shortest presidency ever on only 31 days. His exotic pet goat once head-butted a cabinet member. The man lived a sitcom. John Tyler had 15 kids and the most of any president. And because he kept having children late in life, his grandkids lived into the 2010s. James K. Polk worked himself to death, literally. The man promised one term, worked brutal 16-hour days, and died just 103 days after leaving office. Zachary Taylor brought his warhorse, Old Whitey, to the White House. Guests loved him so much they plucked hairs from his tail as souvenirs until the poor thing went bald. Millard Fillmore did not install the first bathtub, but he did personally help save books during a massive Library of Congress fire. Franklin Pierce, rumored to be the only sitting president, arrested, but the story vanished from all records. Conspiracy? Or just gossip? James Buchanan was the only bachelor president, and his unusually close relationship with Senator William King led to decades of speculation. Abe Lincoln wasn't just tall, he was a monster wrestler. He won 299 out of 300 matches and once slammed the leader of a gang to the ground. Andrew Johnson? Before presidency, he was a tailor, and hand-sewed one of his own inaugural suits. Ulysses S. Grant? First president ever pulled over for speeding in a horse carriage. Got a real ticket from a real D.C. cop. James Garfield could write Greek with one hand and Latin with the other at the same time. Chester Arthur owned over 80 pairs of pants and changed outfits constantly. Grover Cleveland, before politics, served as an executioner, personally pulling the lever on condemned criminals. Teddy Roosevelt gave an 84-minute speech with a bullet lodged in his chest. William Howard Taft didn't get stuck in a bathtub. He just ordered a giant one built for himself. Jimmy Carter officially reported a UFO. Ronald Reagan saved 77 people as a teenage lifeguard. George H.W. Bush celebrated birthdays by skydiving, but also once vomited on the Japanese prime minister during a state dinner. Bill Clinton denied his affair, then admitted it. George W. Bush famously dodged flying shoes like a ninja. Barack Obama turned the White House tennis court into a full basketball court and invited NBA stars. Donald Trump is the only president in the WWE Hall of Fame and once shaved Vince McMahon's head in the ring. And Joe Biden started his political career after tragedy, sworn into the Senate from his sons. Hospital bedside, and decades later became president.